Hey, what's up guys? Roby1 here, coming to you with my second entry on my new channel. So I've got just two quick topics that I wanted to touch on today for my next entry. The first one is going to be Batman Arkham Origins, which just had released, as I had mentioned in my first entry. That was actually the day, Friday, October 25th, that the game did come out. It's only Sunday the 27th now. It's been about 2 days. And there's been a lot of buzz and a lot of talk about it on the internet, and so I wanted to kind of talk about my feelings on it. Honestly, I became relatively unhyped for the game the closer we got to launch. And that really wasn't a product of much at all. I guess except for the fact that I found the first two games to be just pretty good. I certainly wouldn't really say anything bad about them. I didn't spend as much time on Arkham Asylum as I did on Arkham City. But I definitely did dive into both. I enjoyed both. And because Arkham City really didn't end up impressing me in the long run, I think that as we got closer and closer to Arkham Origins release, I kind of started to feel some of that malaise towards the series. Don't get me wrong, huge Batman fan, so I'm not a crazy person. I, of course, have every reason in the world to be excited for a really good Batman game. But I think what really put a damper on the whole game for me, and again, I say this not yet having played Arkham Origins, so I definitely have no problem prefacing it with that. What put a whole damper on it to me was once the reviews started coming out for Origins, it really seemed like most people felt as if it was a lot more of the same of the first two. And in a lot of respects, a lot of the reviews were still saying that was one of the strong points of the game. And I totally get that because I know most people are unlike me and they found those first two games to be damn near flawless, pretty perfect, excellent games. And I won't fault anyone for that. Honestly, like I said, they didn't really speak to me the way I think they spoke to most people. But I recognized that they were good games, and I know, more than anybody that people really loved them. And I have a few friends who are diehard fans of those series. One of my very good buddies went all out, got the $150 super special edition that I think comes with your own Catwoman to keep in the closet. I don't know. All sorts of crazy shit, which was really awesome. And he was camped out for midnight and couldn't wait for it. I think that's really cool. I'm sure a lot of you probably did the same thing. But I don't know. I spent so much time with Arkham City. I played it both on the Xbox 360, and I ended up owning it myself on the Wii U for a while. The Armored Edition, I think it was called. And both versions were very good. I definitely can say I spent more time on the Wii U version because it looked a little bit better. It had a lot more of the content, the DLC content right on the disc. I will definitely say when it comes to that version, the gamepad was awesome for that. It was really cool being able to use the map on the fly, know exactly where all your mission locators were. One of the really cool features I liked was the phone tracing. When you're tracing things with the phone, you're not using an analog stick. You're actually using the touchscreen the way... for anyone who played that game on the PS3 or the 360, which is probably still most of you, you probably did those little kind of mini games feeling like you wanted a touchscreen in front of you. What was really great is they had a chance to do that because it was using the gamepad for the Wii U, so that was really kick-ass. It definitely made the game more fun to use those aspects of the gamepad, but at the end of the day, it was still ultimately, the same game, and since I felt just okay about the Xbox version, I still felt okay about the Wii U version. And when I started seeing all the reviews saying, really, Arkham Origins is just a little bit more of the same, only with a more barren city, because I think it's using the theme of Christmas time. I think it's there's either a curfew or there's some reason that because it's Christmas, there isn't a lot of people on the streets. But I wonder if that was just because they didn't really want to populate the streets with a lot of people, which is kind of too bad. That was one of the cool things that Arkham City did over Arkham Asylum, and the fact that they gave you free roam over what felt like a pretty real Gotham City. That was definitely neat. I still definitely want to play Origins, and I certainly will. But I don't know. I kind of was disappointed to feel that it was just more of the same. I'm not really sure at this point what I would even want out of a kick-ass Batman games because, I do recognize that those really are, in all actuality, pretty kick-ass Batman games. But I feel like at this point, I'm hoping that with the next Batman game, we get something different. I know it feels pretty important, I think, for Warner Brothers and for DC to make those games hearken to the feel and tone of Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, which I totally get and respect. Those are three of the greatest movies ever made. So I have no problem trying to emulate that experience in a video game scenario. But I just wonder if they can do something more with Batman going forward. Of course, the combo system's great. I love the action, the way Batman actually plays. That was easily one of the stronger points for me playing through those first two games, and probably when I end up playing through Origins a little bit as well. But yeah, like I said, I don't even really know. I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the best thing to think of when it comes to imagining Batman games going forward. And I'm sure somebody will think of something great. It seems like Rocksteady is obviously moving on to other things, so I'm sure we can't expect them to come back to the series anytime soon, if ever, which is, I guess good and bad, depending on how you look at it. But I don't know, ultimately those are just my feelings on Arkham Origins. Like I said, once I have a chance to actually play it, I'll probably update some impressions and all that good stuff. But I'm sure a lot of you out there are playing it, and I'm sure most of you probably love it. So you should talk about and let me and everyone else know exactly what you think and why you think it's great, or maybe why it's not that great. One more thing I wanted to touch on real quick as well. This is kind of random, but there's been some scuttlebutt on the internet as of late with some of the concerns about Microsoft and the Xbox One, which I know we've all had many. It's been a rough year and a rough ride when it comes to Microsoft and the Xbox, and I've been right alongside all of you guys with that. But one of the recent things that have been coming up has actually been a concern that I have had from the get-go. Well, I shouldn't say from the get-go. From the get-go of the reversal of their initial decisions. I always had this concern. I'm sure a lot of you have as well. They reversed all of their harsh game sharing, internet requiring, I think Connect requiring, and DRM policies. And since that happened, to tell you the truth, I've always been worried that maybe they could just, re-implement it at any time. If you think about it, if it was so easy for them to flip the switch to turn all that stuff off, what would stop them from wanting to flip the switch to turn that stuff back on? For a lot of us, myself included, that is a terrifying thought. I have now come to terms with the fact that I am excited for the Xbox One and am excited to eventually own one in the coming months, pretty much strictly because they ended up reversing a lot of those decisions. I didn't like the way it was being handled, and it was being monsterized by this internet presence that, granted, I was going to use, but was just restricting so many of the freedoms that we have as gamers, especially when it comes to the sharing and all that good stuff. I don't want to beat a dead horse in that respect because we all know that stuff. But would they turn that stuff back on? Would they reverse the decision? I'm not sure what you guys out there think, what opinions you may have. I don't want to say that I'm 50-50 because that's a cliched answer, but I certainly see both possibilities where they would and where they wouldn't. I think if they would, it would be hopefully after the system has seen enough success and, with any luck on their end, I should say, has started to perform better than the PlayStation 4, maybe is dominating the game console market this coming generation, and they feel like the user base, the install base is strong enough that if they made that decision, it would be sort of too late, so to speak, for most people because, hey, we already own them, we're already connected and melded into the new Xbox Live network and all the gaming and everything we've been doing. I'm picturing this maybe a few years down the road, 2016, 2017 or so, when the Xbox One is a pretty stable fixture in a lot of people's homes. Are they going to feel that, well, enough people are already dedicated to it, they've been using it and gaming it for years, so what the shit? Might as well turn that back on, and now we can finally implement our ultimate grand scheme. Imagine that being said in a Mr. Burns voice with the finger twinkling. That's what I did when I said that, if that helps. But yeah, I could see them maybe wanting to do that. Hopefully, if they did ever do that, I say hopefully in the sense that I really hope they never do, but if they did, I would hope that it wouldn't be for some sort of hidden agenda like they were always planning or hoping to do that. Microsoft is a giant, monstrous corporation, so that very much would likely be the case. However, I would like to think that if they did it, it's because they really feel on the creative spectrum of gaming and just the entertainment hub they want the Xbox One to be, that there is a different grand plan that they really want to instrument by forcing us, because this would be forcing us, to use the Xbox One the way they initially had envisioned it before they reversed everything. If there's a creative benefit that they see that they're just waiting to convince people of when the time is right, I guess it may happen begrudgingly, but maybe I would actually appreciate that. Creative vision and imagination to me is tantamount to almost anything. This is a Roby One courtesy edit. Paramount. Paramount was the word I was looking for, not tantamount. Proceed. So if that would be the reason they would do that, then, I guess right on. I'm kind of, speaking of a faux future that none of us know would actually happen. But again, if they did it for some hidden agenda like, ha ha ha, suckers, we finally got back what we always wanted to do, then that's a big middle finger to them I'm going to give, and I'm hoping that a lot of people also make that happen. The backlash to that could be so devastating. That's the reason why I think they might not do it. If anything, this whole debacle, I use that word loosely, but, the debacle of trying to first implement that stuff with the announcement and then having to reverse it because us gamers united and rallied in the streets and said, hell no, we don't want this. Please don't do it because you're not going to get our money otherwise. I'm just wondering if they might be afraid that that might bite them in the ass if they end up reversing it. You know, to be fair, I feel like that is the more likely scenario. Obviously, there's a lot of people, myself included, who have the concern they may kind of reverse that stuff, but they've already had a reversal. I don't know if they want to be known as the company who reversed a reversal. That was already an unprecedented feat unto itself to have them do that, because that changed their whole business model. That was more than just, oh, okay, you don't want the power button on the left, you want it on the right. Okay, we can do that real quick before we release the system. No, no, no. That was an internal restructuring of everything that they planned to do with the system and the network that they were creating and starting to back up with, you know, the millions of servers that they were talking about to get this thing into people's homes. So it was pretty crazy that happened in the first place. And to have it happen a second time, I think that would be bad in the sense that it could probably cost them a lot of money. And just the PR from that, I feel, would be a nightmare. I am far from an expert in that department. I'm really just a regular gamer, so I don't really know all the details of that kind of side of the business. But from what I've gathered over my many years following the business, I feel like that's what would happen. It would be really hard for them to recover from that, excuse me. And try to spin it positively. You know, they had a hard enough time spinning positively the reversal, which was what everyone wanted them to do in the first place. You'd think that in and of itself would have been the positive spin, but they had to further convince people that they were making the right decision, even though it was what everyone complained that we wanted in the first place. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what Microsoft and the Xbox are doing. You know, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. It's going to be obviously the entire generation will be interesting at that time. All 3 consoles will be very interesting to be following. But who knows what they will do when it comes to that? Will they or will they not reverse it? It's very exciting to wonder about. So, of course, you guys should also chime in. Do you think they will or won't reverse it? And why do you feel that they will or will not reverse it? So share that stuff. Definitely subscribe and like the video and leave all sorts of comments and suggestions and questions and that you love me or you hate me or whatever. Preferably you love me. And yeah, thanks for tuning in for my second entry, and I'll see you guys in a few days. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks to Sonic, everything's gone cattywampus. My cacophonic